Hello and welcome to the first part of silk fibroin creation and trying to turn it into a film with Michael. Here's all the materials that I used to create the silk fibroin. Started out with Bombyx moray silk cocoons. We have a couple chemicals known as sodium carbonate and lithium bromide, incubators, syringes, and graduated cylinders and all the such. We'll get into it, but here is Bombyx moray. It is known of the mulberry tree in Latin, and this is a silk cocoon that was harvested before the moth was able to escape, so that'll be something to think about as far as its sustainability and creating renewable resources out of this. One of the graduated cylinders will be using sodium carbonate, which is used to alkalize and wash the silk to first get it ready for its chemical breakdown. And then lithium bromide, which is something we'll use to incubate with the silk for a while and break it down into different proteins. This is seriously a dangerous chemical. I shouldn't have even been touching it with no gloves. And a 50 milliliter graduated cylinder for the incubation. This is a 20 milliliter syringe, and we'll use this for extracting and measuring and just getting the silk into different containers. You'll want to get 18 gauge needles and sharpen them because these dialysis cassettes are really hard to pierce through. And then once we get all of that processed through the dialysis, it ends up in these test tubes, which we will use for centrifuging and storage. So in order to create the right balance of chemicals and different solutions that will be used to wash the film and break it down, I have to get 5 grams of the silk cocoons in a scaled measurement. So with the worm in it, it's about 0.9 grams. So here I will take all of the worms out of most of the cocoons for a while, and we'll see what happens. Some of the cocoons had a little bit of brown residual from, I don't know what exactly, but they weren't necessarily used, so I'll show you some of that later on. But here we weigh out about 5 grams, which is quite a few, little over 10, maybe 15 cocoons in total. And here are all the worms that were collected. They look gross. So we'll have to be able to wash out and get these cocoons into a more like fibrous consistency where it'll be as clean as possible and as well as ready for the incubation. And as consistent as I tried to make the project, I did not have the exact resources to do everything the protocol and the papers called for. So here you can see I measure out 2.1 grams of the sodium carbonate. It calls for 4.3 grams to be used in 2 liters of water, but I didn't really want to use too many chemicals, so in order to get the 9.3 molar mass formula solution to boil the cocoons in, I had to do half ratios. And that ended up evaporating most of the water, and I wore a mask so I wasn't breathing any of it in, but it didn't really break the silk down, but you can see kind of some of the remnants of maybe the shape of the cocoon here as it's washing. And it's really, you can pull it apart, you can break it, you can kind of cut through it at this point, and it's really like almost kind of scratchy, like when you hold on to it and you squeeze it and all of the water comes out, you can almost feel it sucking the water out of your hands too. So maybe not great to be touching it in this stage, but it was really fun to play with. So I ended up getting it into a dried form, which I needed to dry for overnight, and getting it ready for the next process, which we will see in the final video. But here it is, broken down for the first part and starting to dry, getting ready for incubation. See you in the next video.